Then let's begin at the beginning. We're going to talk about our chief judge responsibilities today. As I mentioned just briefly, I'm Gordon Kaiser. I've been a Toastmaster for 8 years and have enjoyed every moment of it, especially the judging and evaluating. And last year I judged every area and division and the district contest and realized that it was something that I enjoyed. And when this opportunity came up to be a chief judge, I said yes to Gene Cassidy. And thank goodness for those mentors like Diana D. Really appreciate that. And she will be working with me in a collaborative presentation today as we go over this. And let's go ahead and begin with that chief judge training agenda. Now, I'm not going to read every bullet point on here because you're probably already reading that as well. But one thing that I would like to point out is the importance of our Founders District website. We have a great resource there on the Founders District that's going to provide a great deal of information for the contest. And men, if you would, while we're going through this, I'd like for you to take a look at the Founders District speech contest resources. And when you have an opportunity, just drop that into chat as well.
Are these slides going to be available to the attendees?
These slides will be available to attendees. Men will be dropping the slides in PDF form at the end of the
yes,
training
45-minute mark.
All right. Chief Judge. Responsibilities: make sure the contest is conducted fairly. Pretty important. Wouldn't everybody consider that? Make sure the contest is conducted according to the rules and all players perform their task properly. And I think that Diana D had a great metaphor for this, and it reminded me of the pre-flight checklist for a pilot. When we think of chief judge training, there's going to be a lot we cover, and having that checklist is going to be important as well, because we want to know that the plane is ready for takeoff. And that's kind of the way we're looking at a contest: before the contest, during, and after that contest. I love that metaphor, Diana. Did you want to mention that little metaphor that you had before about the pilot?
No, that's okay. I think we need to concentrate on getting through everything if we can.
All right, absolutely. All right, ballot counting. Determining the winners. Obviously, we want to ensure you and all the ballot counters each have all the ballots. You and the ballot counters should be in the same breakout room for each contest. Have 2 counters tally sheet forms pre-filled out with judge and contestant names. And for area contest, a tally sheet may be used for more than one area. And have 1 counter read the ballots, judge name, then the first place, second place, and third place with their specific points. And then a different counter should record these results on the tally sheet. Chief Judge is going to watch this to ensure accuracy and then repeat the ballot reading with a different reader and a different recorder. And Diana, in the past, has this created any kind of difficulty? Has it run pretty smooth with rehearsals?
I think it went very well. We have occasionally discovered an area because we're counting twice.
Okay, well, that reiterates the importance of counting twice. So you're going to add up those scores, have 1 or more counters verify those results, fill out that result form with 1 or more counters watching to ensure it's filled out correctly. And then keep a copy of that tally sheet with you so you can interrupt if there is an error in announcing the winners. And then getting back to the idea of practicing at a rehearsal so that you have the judges understand how to vote first, second, third. And also always remind them the importance of signing that ballot. Sometimes judges do forget to sign that. Anything you'd like to add, Diana?
At area contests, you're going to have the least experienced judges. It's going to be occasionally a challenge to make sure they do things correctly.
Who are the players at a contest? Well, these are the people that you're briefing, watching, and working with at the contest. And there's going to be a lot more information about briefings that you will give before the contest and the tasks that are going to be performed. And we're going to go over some of that as well. And you as chief judge, make sure that you ensure all of these people are briefed and rehearsed. Rules and forms. For a lot of people that are new to this, it can seem overwhelming. And I fit into that category. And I can tell you, the more you review these forms, and the more you review the contest rule book, the more familiar you're going to be with that. And also have to give a lot of thanks to Adam Brenner for some of the work he's put into this, also a mentor. And Minley, if you have that cheat sheet, would you drop that into the chat? Adam put together a great checklist. And it takes these form results and
Yeah, he put it in the, he already put it in about 6 minutes ago.
Okay, fantastic. I thought that was a great resource that Adam provided that helps really organize the aspects of the forms and the meetings and the briefings. And it gives you a great handle on what's involved. Pre-contest preparation. So we're going to get the date, time, and location of the contest. That's one of the aspects of the Founders District contest website. It's a great resource that gives the dates and times, as well as a rule book and some other resources as well. So we're going to brief the two Toastmasters for contest timers, sergeant at arms at the rehearsal, or 30 minutes before the contest. And I think the chief judge is going to be taking responsibility for downloading those required forms and making sure everyone has those forms. And make sure that the contestant is eligible. Reach out to that division director for assistance on that. There's also a link that I can provide for contestant eligibility. And obtaining the judges. I think this is one of the more difficult areas we have, filling all of those judge roles. And that's one of the things I want to encourage is people to reach out if you're interested in judging, find other judges that might want to participate. It's a great opportunity in a wide variety of ways. Organization. Anytime you have a process in place, you want to be well organized. Having those folders, manila folders, are going to assist in that. So each judge is going to have the guide and ballot, written copy of a judge's briefing, copy of being an effective judge, and envelopes pre-labeled with contest names and any certificates. or any gifts that you may want to add to that. And the one tiebreaker judge, same folder, except the judge's ballots can be replaced by the tiebreakers guide and ballot. Include 2 small envelopes, one for each contest with the contest name on the outside. Instruct the tiebreaker judge to put the ballot into the envelope for that contest. Seal the envelope, hand it to the chief judge. Remember, the tie-breaking judge doesn't attend the judge briefing. For the contest Toastmasters, the contents would be the copy of the contest master's briefing and enough speaker certification of eligibility and originality for each contestant, plus 1 spare. Timers, you want them provided with timing sheets. 2 for each contest, plus 1 spare contest rule book, highlighting the timing rules that you want the timer to read. Alternatively, 1 sheet for each contest with what should be read. Ballot counters, you want to make sure that there are 3 counters tally sheet forms, 1 for each contest and a spare. For a contest with more than 10 judges, you'd need 2 tally sheets for each contest, a couple of spares. And during the contest, write the judge names and contestant names on the tally sheet for that contest. And at the completion of that contest, you'll get 2 timing sheets for the contest and place them in the folder. Watch the tellers so you know when all the judge ballots have been collected. You may choose to collect some of the ballots yourself. Collect that sealed envelope from the tie-breaking judge as inconspicuously as possible. May not be that easy in person. Once all ballots have been collected, signal the contest Toastmaster, then leave with the counters to count the ballots. And you'll have instructed the first contest Toastmaster, there should be no interviews unless the contestant is in the second contest. Diana, did you have any comments about any of that? Interviews, the order structure?
What I used to do in in-person contests is I briefed my tellers to station themselves around the room to collect the judge ballots. And then when I stared at a particular counter, that counter would hold up the number of fingers corresponding to how many ballots that counter had collected. And I could add all those numbers up to see when all the ballots had been collected.
That's a good tip to remember. Packets for the players. So you definitely want to get those forms in advance of the contest and prepare those packets before the contest. That's pretty obvious. Contest masters, copy of the briefing eligibility, judges, their eligibility forms, contest rulebook, judge guide and ballot for each contest, copy of briefing. Tie-breaking judge, their guide and ballot, timers, timing sheets, timing rules, ballot counters, counter tally sheets, and the announcement of the winners. All this is easily found on our Founders District link for contests. One of the links takes you right to the kits that'll have all of the different forms in them. Performers to be briefed. Well, we want to make sure that we're briefing your contest Toastmasters, timers, sergeant at arms, tellers, judges, tie-breaking judges. And go over all of the different aspects of eligibility and make sure that contestants understand that they're responsible for arranging their preferred setup in a quiet manner before being introduced by the Toastmaster. And you'll go over the contest master, how to introduce each speaker. There'll be 1 minute of silence between contestants at the end, as much time as it takes for all ballots to be collected.
If this is an area contest, your contest Toastmaster may have no experience. Be sure to tell them and maybe even rehearse how they announce each contestant. Name, title, name, or for evaluation, just say the name twice. Make sure they understand that they are not to comment on the contestant's performance. And it's really important to talk to whoever's going to announce the results, to show them the form they're going to receive and what they need to say. They will say either A or 2, contestant was disqualified due to time, or no disqualifications were made due to time before they announce then third, second, first, depending on how many contestants there are. Back to you, Gordon.
Okay, thank you, Diana. Again, very, very important. And the chief judge has the ability to interrupt at any time to make corrections. Pre-contest, judge and counter rehearsal, ensuring that determining the winners go smoothly is important. And it's starting to appear that the rehearsals are going to be a key part of this, where we understand, when we're joining the breakout rooms, when we're leaving breakout rooms on Zoom, ensuring those in the judge room are able to join the contest Zoom session breakout rooms. Timers get a chance to practice, and judges are provided something to put on the ballots. And I like this. These slides are courtesy, again, of my mentor, Diana D. Pick the best animal for a farm. And then, in contestants, it is cut off a little bit on my screen, but and then the contestants would be a dog, chicken, cow, horse, or goat, or chicken. Love your sense of humor, Diana. Gotta love it. Did you want to make any comment about the
No,
dog, cow, horse contestants? Love it.
it's just that when I taught databases, I used to use the animal farm.
Yeah. It's good. I like it. It is an attention getter. All right. Again, practice, practice, practice. And I'm going to be doing some more chief judge training, several of those over the next few weeks as well. During the contest checklist, well, you want to read all the material relevant to your the two contests and the current contest rule book. That is key. We're doing the evaluation contest this year, so that's going to be new and a little bit different with our guest speakers. It's going to take a little bit more organization. And this certainly provides backup for the contest master. Diana, did you see any issues in regard to what we're addressing on this slide in the past?
What I used to do is get a copy of the program with the speaker names on it for each judge so that they could just mark that up with the speaking order instead of trying to write the names.
Okay. That's helpful. So when I've written the names, you've got to really be listening. You cannot be multitasking. You have to be very focused. Otherwise, you're trying to catch the correct spelling or the correct name. And at the introduction of that individual, and it can throw you off. Technical issues. So that is something that would need to be discussed with contest master, tech master, to understand what leniency will be given in the event there's a technical issue in a hybrid environment. Protests. I guess protests happen when you least expect them. So if you're not prepared and understand protests and disqualifications, then you're going to be sitting there wondering, what do I do now? It's pretty simple. Eligibility, originality, and you can't reference another contestant's speech. And I suppose, Diane, in the past, you've seen it where you may have seen originality is protested. I know that's come up in the past.
Yes, that has come up. Remember that only a contestant and a voting judge may bring a protest. And
Right.
is there another slide on protest?
Yes,
Yeah, okay, I'll wait for that one.
there we go. Mm-hmm. And the voting judge and the chief judge will discuss the protest and determine the outcome.
This procedure is not in the rule book, so it helps to know what you should do as the chief judge. Call a meeting of your judges, discuss the protest, bring in the contestant to make a statement in defense if the contestant so desires. And then the contestant leaves and the judges vote. A majority will rule whether to disqualify the speaker.
All right, we've got some raised hands. I just noticed, Mark, did you have a question?
Just wanted to comment. I'm disappointed to learn that this procedure is not in the rule book. It's a standard practice, and I'm grateful to you, Diana, and board that you've put this in the presentation today. But I'm surprised it's not in the rule book. It really should be, because if a person, a chief judge, did not come to this training, for example, or some other district, and they have no idea how to handle it, and they're flipping through the rule book. There's nothing in the rule book to instruct them. That's really unfortunate. So, but thanks so much for putting that in there, because yeah, that is the standard. I've been in Toastmasters a long time, and that's always been the standard practice. And I'm surprised that TI has not put that in the rule book. They should. So that's just an editorial comment. Thanks to both of you for
right, thanks,
adding
Mark.
this to the.
AJ, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. It really has to do with logistics. Are the contests that are being held this year at Founders, are they hybrid or are they in person only?
They'll be hybrid.
So for a hybrid contest, the situation of protest actually becomes also a logistical issue as part of your contest setup for the chief judge. And many times when I'm working with Zoom masters or a variety of different district personnel, they don't get it. So they're sitting there saying, well, wait a minute, is that the counting room? No, it's not the counting room. I need a separate breakout room set up for judges in the event of a protest. In a hybrid situation where half of the judges are live and the other half are online, it also requires that the chief judge ensure that they have a laptop on them to be able to bring the whole thing together.
Okay, good
Thank you
point.
for that addition. I just wanted to comment also that I've been at international contests where they have instructed the judges to listen for a particular word from the announcer. And if they hear that word, there has been a protest, and they quietly go somewhere that they've been told to assemble, so that there's actually not required a general announcement that there has been a protest. I don't know if we want to do that. That's pretty complicated, but that's.
I think it's complicated, and I personally think that we're overthinking this whole thing about the judges. I'm going to say back in the day when we had in-person contests and I was a ballot counter, even Helen Keller could see who the judges were because they were all the people holding up their ballots in the middle of the room. So this seems crazy to me that we have come to 2024 and we're like 3 steps backwards on handling this. It should be able to be said at this point, we need to have, as chief judge, I don't have to say that a protest has been lodged. I can simply ask that all of the judges please retire to the judges' room now. And because, at least in some of the districts, their camera is off, but their label is Judge 4, Judge 5. So what's the big deal?
Right.
Just to let you know, we did get a question from one of the participants here. And the question is from, where is our friend here? It's from Wei Kong. He wants to know if the protest needs to be filed prior to the adjournment of the contest or prior to the announcement of the results.
Prior to the announcement of the results.
Wei, does that help? I guess it does. Okay, back to you.
So, with that in mind, I have my own question for Diana or AJ. If the ballots are being counted and a contestant protests, because they won't know specifically when to protest other than before announcement is made of the winner, that kind of creates its own confusion, because if in a hybrid situation, you've really only got one room for the ballot counters, and you've got that camera in there with that provides the Zoom judges to participate with the counting. So then would you just, with a protest, when a protest has been lodged, would you ask the ballot counter to leave that hybrid room so that you can address that before they finish up their counting? I guess that would.
Well,
So as the
now-
chief judge, when I've served as chief judge and I have a protest, everything, the chief judge at any point in time in a contest, if the chief judge steps in, everything stops, right?
Okay.
As far as breakout rooms, you can have 27 breakout rooms. But the problem is you come in as the chief judge and you say, I'm the chief judge. I need, especially with an eval contest, I need a contestant's room for them to be sequestered while we're doing the eval contest. I need a
Right.
ballot counters room that I would like to have, just a straight ballot counters room that I'm going to go to. And I would like to have a judge's room. And the first thing I get back is, so why do you need that? I thought, so like, because I asked.
Exactly. Good point. I was just thinking of the physical room. In order to use that to resolve a protest, you'd have to ask anybody who wasn't a judge or contestant, if you're interviewing them, to leave the room briefly. So
Right. And again,
all right.
we were called upon last year, we were called upon in another district that I serve to do hybrid contests at area, division, and district level. So this was the first time we had to deal with it. And it was also an eval contest. So from the logistics, that's why I'm saying there's a Zoom logistics, and then there is the actual physical logistics that you have to think about when you're doing these types of contests. But as far as physical rooms, say you're in a hotel, obviously the chief judge wants to be savvy as to what they're using. So at that point, if I were chief judge, I would simply tell the ballot counters, go down the hallway. I'm using this room for something else right now.
Right. Simple fix.
I believe I answered a previous question incorrectly, because the rule is now that the protest must be lodged prior to the contest being adjourned.
Okay, that's wow. So you could actually have an announcement of the results, and then you have, people giving presentations on the upcoming district conference, and before the event is adjourned, and somewhere in that interregnum between the announcement of the results and the actual adjournment of the event. That's interesting. That's a very intriguing situation, and that's fascinating.
I now have a question that I don't have the answer to, and that is, how is adjournment related to announcing results? Is adjournment always after?
Usually, yeah. I mean, usually there's an announcement of, well, usually the adjournment quickly, in some contests, it follows rather quickly after the announcement of the results. Because often most of these contest planners, they know very well that once the results are announced, everyone's heading to the doors. Nevertheless, you could have a situation where maybe they've scheduled, I don't know, something. Maybe they've scheduled some announcements or comments or welcome remarks from the district governor, or district director rather, or something. And maybe that's fascinating.
So where
I'll have
this-
to look into that.
One of
Yeah,
the
so
things
where this
we've
comes up,
done-
when we did this in District 26, Diana, we had multiple contests going on at the same time. You see the same thing when you're doing an area contest where you're doing one set of areas and then the next set of areas, and you're using the same set of judges, right? Because you want to get all the areas done in one 4-hour slot. So you do the contest, and then once you have that, there will be endless silence until all the ballots are picked up, right? And the chief judge comes back and says, I have the ballots. Okay? The chief judge goes off to the room to do the ballot counting. There is still an opportunity for protest anywhere along that way, even while you're in doing ballot counting. Okay? At the time in which you come back into the room and say, the ballots have been counted, right? And you indicate at that point, then the contest is closed. If you want to close the contest as the chief judge, if you want to close it earlier, you can do that, but you just
Okay, that
you
makes
just have to
sense.
understand the
I
impact
have
of that,
something
right?
that we've done here in Founders. So at the conclusion of each of the area contests, so area A1, once all the speakers have completed, all the judges need to complete their ballots, and then we say this adjourns the area A1 contest.
Exactly,
And move
exactly,
to area A2.
right? Because that stops any chance of protest. And now in the essence of time, we're moving into the next contest. The chief judge has all the ballots. The judges are ready to start all over again. We now move into the next contest. Okay?
So that explains it. And that's relatively simple and doesn't extend a lot of time. Somebody's going to make a protest. They need to do it before all the ballots are counted and announced.
So this is
Just
all
counting.
covered on the top of page 14 in the current rule book.
Well, the great thing about it is we have really hashed this over. I have a pretty good understanding of it. And because of that, that means there probably won't be any protest.
Murphy's Law, right?
If we hadn't gone over it, there would have been. So